The third Trade and Business Symposium kicked off this week in Mombasa, Kenya, on the theme Enhancing Trade Facilitation along the Northern Corridor. The three-day event seeks to smoothen trade flow between the corridor and explore prevailing opportunities that can be consolidated to further improve trade. Our reporter Dennis Sigoa was there.
Commercial diplomacy is what government of Uganda has been advocating for, and that is what is currently taking place in Mombasa, Kenya. Organized by the Consulate of the Republic of Uganda in Mombasa, a three-day trade and business symposium is focusing on enhancing trade facilitation along the Northern Corridor.
And Mombasa, we all know that it's the main gateway for East Africa, and Uganda's share of imports and exports amount about 82% of all transit cargo through this port.
Graced by Amelia Chambade, the Trade and Industry Minister, and attended by public and private stakeholders engaged in trade along the Northern and Central Corridor, the meet comes at a time of increased trade between Kenya and Uganda. In fact, in the last financial year, Uganda managed to change the status quo in trade with Kenya by exporting more than what it imported.
When you talk about trade, our trade relations with Kenya, Uganda and Kenya, have increased to $1.5 billion as exports from Uganda to Kenya, and it is now 77.4 billion from Kenya to Uganda. Of course, there is also tourism, which is booming in Kenya, and we feel that we should talk about trade and services as well, on how we can improve on tourism in Uganda. I know sometimes we focus on commodities, but we should also think about trade and services.
Despite these trade gains and the two governments' commitment to curb non-tariff barriers on the Northern Corridor, the problem still persists, says Kiama Kilonzo, the Kenyan High Commissioner to Uganda. Kilonzo called for action against the challenges which continue to hinder the seamless movement of goods and services on the corridor.
Recently, we had a state visit of President Museveni when he visited Kenya, and a lot of these issues were sorted out. But talking out of the script, I must say, they are sorted out on paper, but officers on the ground still continue frustrating business people from both countries.
In Uganda, logistics inefficiencies in import and export of goods are estimated to cost Uganda shillings 3.1 trillion each year, and logistics account for 18 to 20% of the price of goods sold in the country. The third Trade and Business Symposium ongoing in Mombasa, Kenya is aimed at creating synergies as well as bringing together Kenya and Uganda in tackling the issue of non-tariff barriers. Uganda, a landlocked country, is the second biggest user of the port of Mombasa after Kenya. Uganda is transforming the roles and responsibility of its diplomats spread across the globe, and this is part of a paradigm shift to foreign policy. Whereas peace and security are critical, sustaining the peace calls for the creation of a nexus between peace, security and development, argues Ambassador Patrick Mugoya, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I would like to salute Ambassador Katurebe and his team here in Mombasa for the innovative approach you have taken to trade and business facilitation. It is because of this approach that we're all gathered here in Mombasa. These annual symposia are a good opportunity to bring together officials from government and members of the private sector to exchange views and share experiences on how to make the region more competitive and attractive in building the future that we want.
With a rapidly increasing regional population, trade and business facilitation is seen as a critical part of the nexus. This was observed at the third Trade and Business Symposium ongoing at Pride in Paradise Hotel in Mombasa, Kenya. The Kenyan and Ugandan ministries, departments and agencies committed to enhancing collaboration and highlighted some of the key reforms that are being adopted to boost trade on the Northern Corridor.
We want to integrate all our systems so that we have one platform. We want to turn the Northern Corridor into a digital corridor by making sure that we integrate fully the customs systems, we integrate the scanners, We integrate the cargo tracking. We have agreed to come up with joint risk management strategies, joint enforcement strategies, and also joint capacity building.
We are introducing a system called ICMS, Integrated Customs Management System, which the backbone of that system will be risk management. We want less of human intervention, and towards that end, we want to do intelligence sharing with URA, a risk management framework. We want to develop it, and joint enforcement operations.
Meanwhile, the Ugandan delegation, led by Amelia Chambade, the Trade, Industry and Cooperatives Minister, and the host ambassador, Katurebe Tayewa, visited the port of Mombasa. The tour of the facility was aimed at getting acquainted with the logistics process as well as the new developments at the port of Mombasa and the Lamu port.
And it's going to be 17.5 meters deep. So it's a deep sea port. 13.5 meters. So it's going to be bigger
17?
than this. Yeah, 17.5 meters deep. So that the first berth will be commissioned by His Excellency on 20th of October this year, but the 3 berths will be ready for operations in October 2020.
Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Mombasa, Kenya.